What happens when the man who built an empire comes back to burn it down himself? What happens when loyalty turns into betrayal and family turns into enemies? Tonight, everything changes. This isn't just a return, this is revenge. He's been gone for months. Whispers spread. Fans begged for answers. The bloodline carried on, but something felt off. Roman Reigns wasn't there to control the chaos, and the chaos started to control them. Solo Sikoa wanted power. Jimmy USO wanted recognition. Paul Heyman? He wanted survival. But what none of them realized is that Roman Reigns was watching, in silence, in rage, waiting for the moment the kingdom he built crumbled without him. And now, that moment has come. Roman Reigns has returned, not as the tribal chief, but as the Punisher. The man who once demanded acknowledgement, now demands revenge. The arena lights dim to complete darkness. The crowd's anticipation builds like a gathering storm, hearts racing, breaths held. Because everyone knows, when Roman Reigns returns, the world doesn't just change, it shatters. For 1,316 days, Roman held the Universal Championship. For over 3 years, he stood at the peak of professional wrestling. Every challenger fell, every doubter silenced, every rival broken at his feet. He wasn't just a champion, he was an era. The tribal chief didn't just win matches, he conquered souls. He redefined dominance. He made "acknowledge me" the two most powerful words in sports entertainment. But then came the fall. Not from an opponent, not from age or injury, but from the very foundation he built his empire upon, family. The months following his championship loss were strange. Roman disappeared from television. No appearances, no interviews, no social media posts. Just silence. The kind of silence that makes you uneasy. The kind of silence that precedes something terrible. Meanwhile, the bloodline tried to move forward without their leader. Solo Sikoa, the enforcer who once stood in Roman's shadow, stepped into the light. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't seek approval. He simply took what he believed was his birthright, leadership of the Anoa'i dynasty. Solo sat at the head of the table. Solo made the decisions. Solo declared himself the new tribal chief. And for a while, it seemed to work. Jimmy USO, conflicted and lost without his twin brother G and without Roman's guidance, reluctantly fell in line. What choice did he have? The bloodline was his family, his identity, his purpose. Even if it felt wrong, even if something deep inside screamed that this wasn't right, he stayed. Because that's what family does, right? Paul Heyman, the wise man who built his legacy on choosing the right horse to back, found himself in an impossible position. For years, he stood beside Roman Reigns, orchestrating victories, manipulating narratives, ensuring the tribal chief's dominance. But with Roman gone, Heyman's survival instinct kicked in. He pledged allegiance to Solo. Not out of belief, not out of loyalty, but out of necessity. Because in WWE, you either attach yourself to power or you become irrelevant. And Paul Heyman refuses to be irrelevant. But beneath the surface, cracks formed. Solo's leadership lacked Roman's magnetic presence. His decisions lacked Roman's strategic brilliance. His victories felt hollow compared to Roman's conquests. The bloodline was operating, yes, but it wasn't thriving. It was surviving, barely. Backstage, whispers grew louder. Wrestlers who once feared the bloodline now questioned their power. Where's Roman? Why hasn't he said anything? Is he done with WWE? Some believed he'd retired, content with his legendary run. Others thought he was negotiating a Hollywood career. A few conspiracy theorists wondered if internal politics had pushed him out, but those closest to the situation knew better. They knew Roman Reigns doesn't fade away. He doesn't retire quietly. And he certainly doesn't let betrayal go unanswered. The first sign came 3 weeks ago. A cryptic video package aired during SmackDown. No words, just images. A throne, empty and covered in dust. A crown, broken and discarded. A family photo, torn down the middle. And at the end, just 2 words appeared on screen. I'm coming. The WWE universe erupted in speculation. Social media exploded. #Tribal Chief returns trend worldwide. But Solo dismissed it as mind games. Heyman nervously laughed it off. Jimmy tried to convince himself it meant nothing. The second sign was more direct. Last week, Solo was cutting a promo about the bloodline's dominance when his music suddenly cut out, replaced by static. Then silence. Then, a heartbeat. Slow, steady, ominous. And Roman's voice, distorted and cold, "You sit at my table. You wear my crown. But you are not me. And soon, you'll remember why." Solo's face went pale. Heyman looked like he'd seen a ghost. Jimmy stood frozen, unsure whether to be terrified or relieved. The countdown had begun. You can feel it, the tension in the air. Every step Roman takes is thunder. Every stare is lightning. And when he locks eyes with Solo Sikoa, the arena freezes. Because this isn't brother versus brother anymore. This is God versus traitor. Do you remember when Roman said, "Without me, there is no bloodline"? He wasn't lying. Because without him, the bloodline has turned into something ugly, twisted, unrecognizable. Solo crowned himself the new head of the table. Heyman pledged allegiance to whoever had power. The Usos splintered into chaos. But now the real tribal chief is back, and he's not coming to lead. He's coming to end. Tonight's SmackDown opened normally. Solo Sikoa stood in the ring, Jimmy by his side, Heyman at ringside with a microphone. They were celebrating another victory, another affirmation of their supposed dominance. Solo grabbed the mic. "For months, people have been asking where's Roman? Well, I got news for all of you, Roman Reigns is gone. This is my bloodline now. I am the tribal chief. And anyone who the lights cut out. Complete, total darkness." The crowd's roar was deafening. They knew. Everyone knew. When the lights came back on, Roman Reigns stood at the top of the ramp. Not in his usual entrance gear. Not with his championship. Just Roman. In black. Hair wet, as if he'd been through hell to get there. Eyes cold as ice. Face expressionless. But in that expression was everything: rage, betrayal, pain, and the promise of retribution. The question isn't if the bloodline will fall, it's who survives when it does. And when Roman's music hit, you could feel the ground shake. The crowd didn't cheer, they erupted. Chills ran through every fan in that arena because they knew the tribal chief they once feared is no longer the same man. This Roman Reigns is unchained, unmerciful, and unstoppable. Roman walked down that ramp slowly, each step deliberate, each movement calculated. He wasn't rushing, because when you're about to destroy everything, you savor every moment. Solo, to his credit, didn't back down. He stood in the center of the ring, chest puffed out, trying to project confidence. But his eyes betrayed him. The slight tremble in his hands betrayed him. He knew he was standing face to face with a force beyond his control. Jimmy took a step back, visibly torn. This was family destroying family. How do you choose sides in that war? Heyman, ever the survivor, slowly backed toward the ropes, calculating his escape route. Roman climbed the steel steps, wiped his feet on the apron, a sign of respect for the ring, even in his fury, stepped through the ropes, and stood, staring at Solo, for what felt like an eternity. The silence was suffocating. You could hear a pin drop in an arena of 20,000 people. He didn't come back to win gold. He came back to take souls. And when Solo dared to stand tall, Roman speared him so hard, the ring nearly collapsed. The crowd? They didn't know whether to scream or pray. The impact was sickening. Solo's body folded like paper. His breath left his lungs in a violent gasp. He lay motionless as Roman stood over him, chest heaving, eyes still locked on his fallen successor. But Roman wasn't done. Not even close. Jimmy tried to intervene, loyalty to family overriding his self-preservation instinct. He charged at Roman. Superman punch. Jimmy crumpled mid-stride, his body hitting the mat with a sickening thud. Solo somehow, impossibly, began to rise. Bloodline resilience in his DNA, he pulled himself up using the ropes. Roman watched him struggle to his feet, let him almost reach vertical, then struck again. Another spear. Even more devastating than the first. This time, Solo didn't move. Who do you think betrayed who first, Solo turning on Roman, or Roman abandoning them all? Roman grabs the mic. His voice is raw, broken, furious. "You thought you could replace me? You thought you could lead my bloodline?" Every word echoes through the arena like thunder. Heyman's face turns pale. The wise man who always has an answer, always has a plan, is paralyzed. Roman's eyes find him. "Paul, my wise man, my advocate, the man I trusted with everything." Heyman drops to his knees, hands clasped in prayer position. "Roman, please. I had no choice. I was just trying to keep the bloodline alive while you were gone. It was all for you. Everything I did was to preserve your legacy." Roman's laugh is humorless, cold. "My legacy? You preserved my legacy by crowning someone else? By standing beside the man who took my seat?" "Roman, I shut up." The arena shakes from the force of Roman's voice. "For months, I watched. I saw everything, every decision, every betrayal, every moment you all thought I was gone for good. And you know what hurt the most? Not that you replaced me, not that you moved on, but that you did it so easily, like I was never even here. Like 1,316 days meant nothing." The emotion in Roman's voice cuts deeper than any physical attack. This isn't just about power. This is about trust destroyed, family shattered, a brotherhood desecrated. Jimmy tries to intervene, Superman punch. Solo rises again, spear. Heyman begs, spear again. The fans can't believe what they're witnessing. This is